Praise the sun in Umbasa. This is the sophomore effort for Gone Hollow, where we talk about Dark Souls, or Demon Souls, or Dark Souls 2. My name's Ryan Stevens, and I like these games. First off, after last week's inaugural episode, I have to give a shout out to some commenters who told me I was getting the binoculars the hard way. That would be Soul Invictus, Albert Dragoon, and also username 501 told us that you can use the binoculars with magic to fire your magic in first person, which is pretty awesome. Likewise, a shout out to Spurg, if I'm saying that correctly, who wanted these episodes to be a little bit longer, but not quite epic name bro length. Today, I would like to talk about developer messages. When I first played this game, I was playing the game offline on a debug unit, so I didn't get a lot of the online stuff. Actually, I got none of it. And while there are some messages way late in the game from the developers in one particular part, I was also playing the game without blood splatters, without messages. However, if you use the guidance spell in very particular locations, I'm thinking in the Forest of the Lost Giants, under where the ballistas are, you can actually get messages from the developers. I've only found this one, and I'm totally stealing this off Reddit like a BuzzFeed bottometer, but who knows, there could be some more out there. It's pretty interesting. I guess there were a lot in Dark Souls 1 as well, but I never messed around with it. Fire is a big part of Dark Souls 2. It's pretty interesting. I think we've seen, in No Man's Wharf that the people will throw pots of oil at you and try to set you on fire, but I like some of the more subtle things that they're doing with fire and flame. In Black Gulch, there are these little tiny tar pits, and if you shoot them with fire arrows, or I guess if you hit them with a fire sword or any other sort of fire weapon, they will light on fire and they'll burn those weird little hand grab you guys till they're dead. You can actually see them kind of like pop out with their last little bit of life and expire right in front of your eyes. Also, I think a lot of people are using the fire sword because it's one of the best weapons early in the game, and it's kind of funny when you get to a lot of the exploding barrels and you hit them and you yourself get exploded right along with them. It can also be useful, though, if you're trying to get into some of the secret passages and cracked walls, like finding the Macduff blacksmith in the Lost Bastille, which I also found out is now actually pronounced Lost Bastille. I don't know. The double L in French is kind of a weird phonetic phenomenon. Also, with the torches and lighting the sconces and whatnot, it was interesting to see the torch near Macduff. If you light it, he actually will move locations, and it lets you get to the chest that's underneath him, which I thought was a pretty cool little bit. There's not too much, there's a steady hand with using a lot of the abilities, the secrets, the little tricks in Dark Souls, and it's nice to see them kind of refresh that every once in a while. And finally, I've never been really good at Street Fighter, Third Strike, or any Street Fighter for that matter, but I was curious about these shields that can parry spells. So I went to the shrine, equipped one of the shields that can parry spells, and tried to do it. The timing is difficult. It's just like trying to parry a shot. I would say it's probably a little more generous, as you can see it kind of coming at you. Those homing arrows, those homing soul masses are pretty good practice in this regard, even though they're kind of a bitch to deal with normally. So you can parry a spell and it actually goes back, but I tried closing the distance and trying to actually reflect the spell back onto the caster. Didn't really work so well. Not particularly recommended. Those shields that do allow you to parry spells have pretty bad physical block, so they're not something you'd normally want to take into battle. But it is an interesting little aside that it's technically something you can do, and maybe if those shields are light enough, maybe it would be something you would want to add to a PvP kit. Curious to see how it works with miracles and hexes. I would assume it's about the same, but not entirely recommended. And parrying in multiplayer is already a bit of a gamble, more than in a single player game. So interesting. Love when they include things that not a lot of people are going to use, but maybe not the most useful thing in the world. So this was the second episode of Gone Hollow. Oh, one more thing. I'm stealing this one from Ben Moore. Early in the game, you find a well in Majula, and you knock a rock down, and a corpse comes up bearing an Estus shard, which is an incredibly useful item. Later on in the Lost Bastille, I'm going to just stick with Bastille now, there is another rock and another well. And likewise, you push it down, but then a bunch of those prisoner leopard dudes that explode pop up and then kill you, most likely. And I thought that was a clever little echo where you expect something to be rewarding, and in fact, it's kind of a little trap. It's just another reason why I love the Dark Souls games. And as always, may your titanite always twinkle, and your stones be smooth and silky.